One sec. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the 8 laws of physical health. And Pete names these 8 rules in his book. And gravity pushing down on you is one of them. So the law of vertical loading and how you load. Dynamic tension, front to back. Then form follows function, and that's where he would say bones do what muscles tell them to do. So we are giving a specific information, and just like when I ask your arm to come like this, your bicep is bringing your forearm in. That's true all over the body, but there's muscle links and chains that are working together to change what's happening through your whole system. And then stimulus, renewal, breathing, all part of what you need to maintain health, oxygen into your body. And one of the things about the dynamic tension in your body is that the back of our body is really supposed to hold us up, and the front is for bending. But we've talked about releasing your abdominals, because if you use your abdominals to hold you just stable, then you're changing the dynamic tension between the front and the back of your body and how you're supposed to be loading. So let's go back to making sure that the back side of our body is really what's holding us up, and that there's this dynamic tension so that both sides, the right and left, are holding us in this good alignment where our ears are over our shoulders, over our hips, over our knees, over our ankles, and we don't have some violation of that law, like rotation somewhere in the body, not the other, or maybe it would be in the shoulder, or maybe it would be rotating like this. So check your own dynamic tension right now by closing your eyes and feeling your feet on the floor. And just notice, where are you today? How does it feel? And is it even? And if you notice that you're at all heavier on the inside or the outside of your foot, or from the front to the back, it doesn't really matter so much. It matters to me, if I'm your therapist, where you're loading. But we can just say, if it's not exactly even, we know there's a violation in one of those design pieces. So go ahead and start with your feet pointed straight. Bring your hands into the golfer's grip, and then relax your stomach. Allow the backside of your body to be what's holding you up against gravity, and then bring your hands right to your temples. Thumbs pointed down, elbows all the way together so they touch. Take a deep breath and fill your rib cage. Open that space and then open it back up. Try to touch your elbows to the wall behind you or way back so that you're getting your whole shoulder blade to move toward your spine and then all the way off your back again. So as we retract and protract the shoulder blade, we start to let the shoulder talk to the muscles in our back. Maybe one side is working harder than the other in that violation of dynamic tension. So let's make it even. Bring some symmetry and balance back to the two sides of our body. Notice if you are holding your belly again. Go ahead and let it relax. Excellent. Arms out to the side. Shrug your shoulders up toward your ears and press them down. So we're finding all these muscles that control the shoulder blade. As you go up, your levator scapula and your upper trap are working. Your rhomboid is holding your shoulder blades a little bit together. As you press down, You use your trap, a little bit of your serratus, the muscle on the outside. Slide them up, push them down. Relax your belly. When we see somebody's lumbar erector, the back muscle, more engaged on one side than the other, it's a good indication that the shoulder might be out of position. The arm bone could be out of position, the shoulder blade might be out of position, but that sets the body up. Some compensation, maybe from more of a dysfunction at the pelvis, very often dysfunction at the pelvis. But we can see that as evidenced by one shoulder doing something different than the other. Good. Take it into a shoulder roll, up and forward and around. So levator scapula, serratus as it comes around, down, pec minor, then squeeze back behind you, trap, rhomboid, all of those, all working. Soft belly. Remember to breathe. And backwards, up and back and around. Excellent. Then squeeze your shoulder blades together, pinching them together on your back, and release. Squeeze and release. Squeeze, release. Keep going. Actually get a scapula retraction. And notice if one doesn't squeeze as easily as the other, very common to have that happen. Find the muscles at the bottom of your shoulder blades. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Notice if you go back, does your belly start to contract? See if you can keep the shoulder blades squeezed and take a big full breath, expanding that east to west breath, rib cage getting wider, and release. Good. Right into a standing arm circle. Fold your fingers to your palms into that same golfer's grip, arms by your side. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, then pull them up. Keep that squeeze. Now this might be more difficult as the arms come up to keep that squeeze between your shoulder blades. Relax your belly and circle forward 40 circles. Strong elbows, breathing, firing up the backside of your body. And release, palms up, squeeze, bring them up, strong elbows, right even parallel to the floor, and then pinch those shoulder blades together. Find that bottom edge of the shoulder blade again. Get that shoulder blade to squeeze both sides all the way toward your spine if you can. Relax your stomach. Circle backwards. And release. Good. Arms out to the side into a standing windmill. So now we're going over to one side. Inhale, come up, over to the other. You're welcome to stand against the wall. That would help that vertical loading, because then you'd have a feeling of where your load joints are positioned one right over the other, shoulders over hips, over knees, over ankles. If you don't have a wall right there, it's okay to just do it in space, but try to pay attention that you're not rotating out of that. We're moving in this plane of motion, the coronal plane motion. Good. Take your feet wider. As we abduct the hip, it changes the dynamic of the leg bones into the pelvis. It can help drop a hip if you have a hip that's elevated, or change the way that one of the femurs is rotating. Make sure your feet are pointed straight ahead, arms out to the side. Exhale over, inhale, lift, exhale over, inhale, lift. Keep going. 1 second. Good. Wider one more time. Feet pointed straight ahead, arms out to the side, over and up, and over and up. And then wider once more. Really get that hip to change position. 5 more. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. And then back in. Feet pointed straight ahead. Last ones. Over to one side and up, and over to the other side and up. Excellent. Okay, grab your block and your strap. I'm going to go after a position with a little bit of the assumption that people may still have been at their computer or sitting more than normal. So when that happens, the violation is often that the pelvis begins to tuck under a little bit. So the other thing that could happen is that the pelvis could go forward, and that could be the postural change. Then your body will react in all kinds of ways and lock down the shoulder or change what's happening. So we're going to go after repositioning the hip in a good position, or the pelvis in a good position over the hip. So come down onto your hands and knees, but grab your block and your strap and keep them close. We're going to go into a static extension position. And that position looks like this. So hips slightly in front of the knees, shoulder blades squeezing onto your back, super strong arms, and head drop. And then you're going to put your block between your feet. And that's going to externally rotate the femur just slightly. So let your pelvis fall over, let your shoulder blades collapse, chin tucked, head forward, and hold. And then I want you to squeeze the block at your feet 20 times. Now, if it's too pinchy in your back or this extension doesn't feel okay, the first thing I want you to do is drop a little more into your shoulders and see if that changes it. If you still need to, you could pull back just slightly, and that would take a little bit of the extension out of your back, more like a cat and dog position. And that would be fine still to do this here. You'll get the benefit of being in a neutral pelvis and letting your femurs do that little rotation in the socket, still getting the pelvis to move over the leg bone or leg bone in the socket. And then come out of it. Drop back into it again. Hips slightly forward of your knees, squeezing your shoulder blades on your back. Let your belly go. Let it all relax. Then squeeze the block at your ankles and release. Squeeze, release. You should feel this up in your hips if you're doing it well. And the outside of the butt muscles. Big breaths. Come out of it and then drop into it one more time. Squeeze, release. This would be good for anybody that has a touch of scoliosis or pelvic rotation, or like I said, that's just been sitting with a tucked pelvis for too long. Awesome. Come on out of it. We're going to go the other way. Grab your strap. Make your strap, I have to make mine a little more narrow. So about fist width apart. It can be fairly narrow so that you can get a good pull and then come back into that same position. Hips over knees, shoulders, squeezing on your back, chin tucked, head drop. And now we're gonna pull out on the strap, which is gonna internally rotate the thigh bone. So again, working the muscles up around the pelvis, getting the pelvis to move over the femur. Press, release. Release out of it. And then again, come forward, sink into it again, letting your belly relax, letting it all go toward the floor. Again, if you don't want too much extension in your back, just come over more of like a cat and dog position. But if not, let your pelvis fall over, come forward of your knees. Head dropped, press, release. And keep your strap with you. Come down onto your back now. Pull your strap up above your knees. And then lie down on your back. Make your strap a little bit more than fist width apart. Arms out to the side, shoulders gently tucked underneath you so that they're even, and then press out against the strap. Press, release, abductor presses. Press, release. Press, release. Keep going. 10 more. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and remove that strap. We're going to stay with the lateral hip for a bit. So come onto your hands and knees again. This time, take your left foot forward. Come into a kneeling groin stretch, hands on your knee, taking it as far forward as your back leg will allow. And then make sure your front toes are just ahead of that knee. And then shoulders down and back. So I notice my shoulders want to shrug up toward my ears when I'm here. Relax your shoulders, relax your belly. Let that back leg go back as far as it'll go. And then lift your toes and press your toes down into the mat. Let's do 20 of those. Toes up, toes down. This activates the muscles, the deep muscles of the foot, all the way up into the calf, into the hamstring, and even glutes. So we're getting lateral hip activation just by what has to happen with your toes, lifting and lowering your toes off the floor. So that could effectively help reposition the hip or stabilize that lateral hip, which is important for swing phase of gait. And switch. Back leg back as far as it'll go. Relaxed belly, shoulders down away from your ears and back. And then 20, lift and press with your toes. And then first side again. Back leg back behind you, shoulders away from your ears, belly soft. Make sure that front leg is far enough forward. And then lift and press 20 more. Ball of your foot stays down, just all 5 toes come up, then toes pressing down into the mat. Maybe you notice as the hip stabilizes, the other hip is able to let go more. I had noticed in my body, one, because my knee injury, but also what was happening in reaction to the knee injury and how much that leg was turning, that my hip was really, really, really tight. And I have been able to do the splits in my life before, but that was getting to be farther and farther away. And as I've been doing this exercise with these toe presses, it feels like the hip repositioning allows then for the muscles to let go, and then splits feels like more possible again. Second side, second time. Take it forward, relax your belly, shoulders down your back, lift and press. And cats and dogs, both feet back, hands down, round and arch. as you go up, really round your whole spine. As you come down, let your pelvis roll over the top of your leg bones. Let your shoulder blades squeeze onto your back. Head up and all the way around again. Couple more. And then come down onto your back. We're going to go into a crocodile twist. So arms out to the side, palms down, shoulders tucked under. Make sure you're even. So hip bones and rib cage as even as you can. And then put your left heel on top of your right toes. Twist your body up and over, and then look to the left. Find your breath, relax your shoulders. Keep allowing your body to do that twist. Thigh tight. From that heel all the way up into the inside of this hip, letting the oblique muscles be your twisters. This can effectively drop a hip, reduce rotation, change an imbalance in your back, reposition a shoulder, work on your neck. Full breaths, 3 full breaths, fully in and out and in and out and in and out. Release. Switching sides. Right heel, left toes, up and over. Thigh tight. From the heel all the way up to the inner hip. Let that oblique then twist your body. Shoulder blades down, palms flat. Look all the way over. Hold and breathe. Three full breaths, fully in, fully out. Feel the rib cage expand laterally. Fully in, fully out. Fully in, fully out, and untwist. Both feet on the floor, pelvic tilts. Make sure your shoulders are in line with your pelvis before you rotate backward and forward. Excellent. Into a hip crossover, crossing the left ankle over the right knee, palms down again, all the way over to the right. Look to the left. Let the right leg completely relax and then press the left leg away from you, allowing the external femur rotation and that rotation to happen in your pelvis. Breathe. Come on up. Switch. All the way down. Press that knee away from you. Open up that hip. Shoulders down and back.
and then relax. Fingers spread, hands working on the floor. Open up that hip. And come up onto your hands and knees, cats and dogs again.
Round and arch 10 times. All the way up, all the way down. Feeling your shoulder blades slide onto your back, away from your ears. Getting that middle back to go into some extension. Feeling your pelvis roll over your leg bones. And then into a hand leg opposite lift. Extend it out there and hold. Switch sides. And switch. 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 And switch. One more time each side. Excellent. Cats and dogs once more. Round and arch. And then come all the way up to standing. Now have you go into a scale. So standing on one foot, arms out to the sides, go over into a scale, find your balance, and then come back up to standing. And switch sides. Finding your balance, scale, and then come up and switch. Come up, switch. You should notice your foot doing a lot of work there. Do your best to keep your knees straight. Tighten the muscles up around your thighs. And then come up. One more each side. Thigh tight. Bending at the hip, rolling the pelvis over the head of the femur. And come up and switch one more time. Taking it over. Excellent. Coming up and come into your downward facing dog pose. Hands on the floor. Go ahead and step back. Downward dog. If you need to do a downward dog with your knees bent to prioritize your spine, then do so. If you can keep a pretty good arch in your low back, then go ahead and work your legs towards straight. And tighten up the muscles around your kneecap. Lift your kneecaps. Press through your hands and shoulders. Breathe. And then come forward into a push-up position or plank. You can be on your hands or on your elbows. Come into that push-up position and hold it. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Come onto your side. You may take any variation of a one-arm bridge from your elbow, on your knee, out on your feet, 1 foot forward. You choose. However it is, get your hips off the floor. Keeping your body in good alignment, pressing through that shoulder. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come on down, second side. Once again, knees bent as possible, legs straight, foot in front. You choose. Get those hips off the floor. Lift. And come on down. Come into a table position. Feet on the floor. And then lift your hips up, letting your hands get behind you. Find the back side of your body. Calves, hamstrings, glutes, triceps, back side of the shoulders. Hold it up there, 10 more seconds. And release it down. Let me check the time. Let's do a couple more. Onto your back. Feet on the floor, knees bent. Arms out to your sides. And then move your right foot away from you, just a little bit. And then you're gonna keep everything in neutral, shoulders gently tucked under. Double check your nose, your sternum, and your belly button are all in good alignment. And then go right into hip flexor lifts. So lift, keeping your ankle and knee and hip in really good alignment. 30 lifts. You can go up on your toes on your left foot to stabilize. And then right leg, everything else relaxed. Shoulders relaxed. Lift and lower that right leg 30 times. then switch sides. Up on your right toes, moving your left leg just a little bit away from you. Lift and lower the left leg up and down off the floor. Everything else relaxed. Upper body relaxed. Just your pelvis holding you stable while you lift and lower that leg. Keeping your foot, knee, and hip in alignment so that you're using those 90-degree angles. Good. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. No hands. Pull it all the way up. Press your right knee away from you. Pull your left knee toward you. Hip lift. Push and pull. I know that hip flexor's already tired. Hang in there. Big full breaths. Shoulders relaxing. It's really important to let your shoulders relax right now. Neck relax. They shouldn't be helping. They need to let go. Release. Switch. Left over right. Pull it up there. Push, pull. Find that right hip flexor. Push that left knee away from you. And release. Both feet on the floor. Relax your belly. Find your butt muscles. Squeeze and release your glutes. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Make sure both are working. If you really are having a hard time finding them and you really can't find them without using your belly, then go ahead and straighten out your legs and find them that way, just to get the muscle to fire up. Pulling that femur around, repositioning the leg bone in the socket. Squeeze, release. If you can do it this way, do it this way. Tighten those glutes. Crushing walnuts with your butt cheeks. Squeeze, release. Shoulders relaxing, shoulders tucked underneath you a little bit, and then totally let it go. And then grab your block, place your block between your knees. Squeeze and release that block. Hug in, find your adductors, relax. Squeeze, release. Shoulders relaxing. Ten more squeezes. And release. Last move of the day, foot circles, point flexes. Start with your legs all the way out on the floor. Shoulders gently underneath you, and then pull your left foot all the way in, hold underneath your knee, draw it all the way in, shoulders stay down and back. 20 circles all the way around with that ankle, thinking of a clock, hitting all the numbers around the clock with your toes. Reverse. Point and flex. And switch sides. 20 circles. Oh, snap, crackle, pop in there. Do you think those noises are an indication of really good alignment, or things that aren't quite in great alignment? This is the same leg as my knee and hip. That the hip was the first reason that I came to Egoscue at 21, and thankfully I haven't had hip pain in years. And the knee is getting so much better doing a regular set of exercises, the same ones every day, that's helping to reposition that hip and knee joint. Sounds like that ankle could use a little bit too. Point and flex. And release. Awesome. Okay, get into whatever position is most comfortable for you, into static back with your legs up over your block, or into legs out straight, kind of Shavasana. And turn your attention and awareness to your breathing. As you get into that position, notice your body as sensation. And just notice if what's arising in consciousness is sensations of comfort or discomfort. And then investigate that notion. Where do you sense that?
Where is the sensation coming from? And then look for what's sensing that. Go back to sensing the inhale and exhale of your breathing. And if or when you notice that you're lost in thought, once again, investigate the thought. Where is the thought arising in consciousness? Where do you sense that thought? Is it in your head? Is it around your heart? Is it around your face? Do you have thoughts all the way down by your toes? When thoughts or sensations have that comfort or discomfort place, notice if there's a reaction to that. And then what's choosing that? Who's choosing that? Go ahead and take a big, deep inhale again. And slowly bring some movement back to your body. You're welcome, of course, to turn off your computer and stay there. Or come around and have a moment to check in. If you would like to check in, please unmute yourself.